Welcome to Accrisoft's Photoshop to Freedom training. Today we'll be covering how to use Accrisoft Freedom to build a website starting from a design file. In this training, we'll first talk about the anatomy of a website, then we'll learn how to use Freedom to build a website, and finally, we'll build a site from scratch using a Photoshop file. Please note that this discussion is not a complete course on all the features of Accrisoft Freedom. We recommend you also take our Accrisoft Freedom, the Fundamentals, and Green Fundamentals training courses to better familiarize yourself with the software. Also, you should be comfortable with HTML and CSS. Before the process begins, make sure your design, HTML, and CSS files are prepared. Let's begin with a review of our website's anatomy by analyzing our design file. A design file will typically be in a PSD or PNG file format. The first thing to do with your design is to identify all the elements of the website. For example, this is the header. Here's the main menu. This is where the main content will go, and this is the footer. Use a graphics editor like Photoshop or Fireworks to slice your design elements. Save them as web-friendly JPEGs or PNGs with the images of transparent aspects to a folder. With our design elements prepped, we are ready to begin using Freedom. Because Freedom keeps a website's design separate from its content, the software has several different color-coded interfaces. The ones that we'll be talking about today are white, blue, and green. Let's quickly touch on these faces of Freedom. Other videos that explore the different interfaces in depth are also available. Start by logging into your site's administrative interface. Using the colored icons in the top right, we can toggle between the different interfaces. The white interface is your live site. It's what visitors see when they type your URL into the address bar. Changes made to the admin interfaces of your site are automatically updated live on the white interface. The blue interface is where website owners and operators manage the website's day-to-day content. On the left, you'll see the modules that can be used to change this content. Users do not need to be technically savvy to use the blue interface. It is designed to be extremely user-friendly. The green interface is where we'll be spending most of our time in this training. Green is for the website's designers and developers, and it's where users can design, build, and configure websites, as well as determine which features of the website are available to blue users. Graphics, HTML, style sheets, and configuration settings are all accessed using green. To illuminate the way green and blue work together, let's think of the website as if we were building a house. Green provides the foundation and framework, and blue is where you arrange your furniture and decorate. Accrisoft Freedom websites are made up of page layouts, which contain HTML, as well as special tags that reference other Freedom content. There are at least 2 page layouts on all Freedom sites, Home and Default. The Home layout determines the layout of the site's homepage, whereas the default layout determines the layout of the site's interior pages. Freedom sites can have different layouts called display types for the interior pages. The default layout contains a special content tag that inserts content into the page layout depending on what web page is being viewed. On a simple site with only the home and default page layouts, the default page layout will determine the layout of all the interior pages, though the content will be different for each one. Some websites contain a landing page, which typically includes a link to the home page, but this and all other page layouts aside from home and default are optional. Now that we've covered some general concepts, it's time to begin building our website. We're going to be using the design I showed you earlier. Let's start by uploading the sliced images to the Freedom website. Freedom lets you upload zip files and unzip the contents within the File Manager module, saving you from having to upload each file individually. We begin in the green interface, File Manager module. In the green interface's File Manager, you have 2 tabs which correspond to 2 separate directories, Graphics and Client Uploads. The Graphics directory is only available to green users, and it's where files that are used in the site's build-out are kept. The Client Uploads directory is available to blue users as well as green, and is typically used for content-based files rather than elements of the design. For our design files, we'll be uploading them to the Graphics tab. To help keep everything well organized, create a directory or folder for your zip file. Additional subdirectories can be added when needed. To do this, simply click the Add a New Directory button, then give your directory a name. We'll call ours Design, and we recommend always using this directory name when you're uploading your design files. To add your files to this directory, click on the directory's name to open it, then click Upload, and upload your zip file. Then click the Unzip link next to the folder and the system will unzip your file. You'll see that your files were quickly imported into the system. Now that the files have been uploaded, you can click Show Images to see the individual image files, and Show Info to see their width and height, which is useful when you're coding HTML. Now that the design files have been uploaded, it's time to move to the Layouts module, which is where you create all your page layouts, module layouts, and tags. We'll start with the Pages tab of the Layouts module, and we're going to begin by editing our homepage layout. Here you will see default HTML. Select all and replace with the HTML of your site's homepage. Now we can add our styles to our style sheet. Freedom allows you to edit page layouts and styles simultaneously. Just click the Toggle Style Sheet View link, and the style sheet would appear below the layout. Again, select all and replace the CSS with your site's styles. We'll also need to change the style sheet reference in our HTML to ensure that it refers to the style sheet in the correct location. Now let's take a look at the white interface to see how it looks. Our homepage is looking good, but if we hand this off to our client, they will have no way of updating their content. We will now go into making our content accessible and user-friendly. Let's start with our menu. Freedom allows users to easily add, remove, and edit menu items and their links. To do this, let's open up the Menus module. To add a new menu to your site, you want to click Add Menu Group. This will create a new menu group to which you can add menu items in green, or allow other website users to add menu items in blue. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be replacing the left, or main menu, on our new site. So let's add a new menu group and call it Main. When you're creating a new menu group, it's best practice to give it a name that references where it goes, like Main, Top, or Footer. I'm going to add the menu items that go into this menu as well. To do that, just click on Add a New Menu Item, then in the right column, give your new menu item a name, and unhide it by deselecting the Hide Menu Item checkbox if you want it to be visible on the live site. If you're linking to content that has already been created, you can use the link wizard to connect the menu item to that content. Since we don't have any interior pages or content to our site yet, I'm going to use a time-saving feature for those menu items called Auto Create Web Pages, which is located in the Tools module. Clicking the Auto Create Web Pages button will create a blank web page for each unassigned menu item and link the menu item to the newly created pages. Later, you or your website users can go back and add content to them in the blue interface. Now there is a blank web page in the blue interface for each menu item. So we've created our new menu group and added menu items. Now we need to create a module layout for the menu that we can add to our home page layout. This will add the menu we just created to the page layout and will make it visible and clickable on the live site. This is done in the Modules tab of the Layouts module. Module layouts are different from page layouts in that they display data from individual modules and can be placed into web pages. You can create many different module layouts for the same module. This allows you to display the same data in a limitless variety of ways on your website. In this case, we'll be creating a module layout for our menu, then placing it into our homepage layout. To create a new layout, we'll click Add a New Module Layout. We'll select Menu, Pop-up, UL, which is a menu utilizing unordered lists and CSS. On this screen, we'll name the module layout and tell it which menu group to display. For this menu, we'll leave the other options alone and click Save. Now we can place the menu layout into our homepage layout. Let's go back to the Pages tab and click to edit our homepage layout. I'm going to delete the HTML that made up the menu and replace it with a tag that will make this page display our Freedom menu. To insert a tag into a page layout, you don't have to memorize its name. We could just click on this icon in the toolbar called Insert a Tag, and it will bring up a list of all our tags we have available to use. Now our Freedom menu has replaced the static HTML that was pasted from our text file. Menu items can easily be added and changed by anyone in your company, regardless of their technical experience. Next, We'll make the page content manageable by your client by embedding a web page from the Blue interface. To embed a web page, I'll start by creating a new web page in the Blue interface and naming it Home. I have some content already written, so I'm just going to paste it into the text editor. Now, similar to how we created a module layout for the menu and then put a tag into the page layout, we're going to do the same thing for this new web page. I'm going to add a new module layout, but this time I'm going to select Web Page Single. Let's name it webpages_home_content and select the page we just created from the web page link name drop-down list. It is recommended that module layout names begin with the module the layout is created for. Now we'll save it and return to the home page layout. For the home page, I'm going to replace the content tag with a tag referencing our new module layout. We'll use the Insert a Tag icon again. Now let's switch to the white interface and take a look at the home page. The menu and content on our home page is now entirely manageable by your customers. Now let's do the same with the interior pages. To make the interior page content manageable by your customers, we're going to be adding a special content tag to our default layout. This tag will add content from the Blue interface to the interior pages, depending on what page is accessed. So for example, if a visitor clicks on the About Us page, they'll see the default layout with the About Us content from the Web Pages module in the Blue interface. To start, open the default page layout by selecting the Pages tab in the Layouts module. Paste your interior page HTML into this layout. Now replace the content, or the text in the center of the page, with this tag, Content. To show you how this works on the live site, I'm going to add some content to the web pages that we auto-created when we set up our menu. So let's go ahead and do that. And when we do, you can see where the content I'm creating in blue is inserted into the content tag that we added in green. I have some text that I've already written for a couple of web pages, so I'm just going to copy and paste that into the body section. Note that you can use the editor to make changes or insert links, images, and much more. If we look at the white interface, we can see it now. And that is how you take a website design and turn it into an Accrisoft Freedom site. Your Freedom Foundation is in place and ready to accommodate more features. Explore our other videos to learn how to implement the other Freedom modules.